The day I got engaged to the business tycoon, a woman showed up claiming to be the chosen female lead. In front of everyone, she grabbed his hand and called him husband. She even sneered, "You're just a lowly side character. Sooner or later, you'll be nothing more than cannon fodder in our love story." The next second, a sleek black pistol was pressed against her forehead. My fiancé gave a cold, amused smile. I worked my ass off to win her over. You want to interfere? One more word and I'll blow your head off. Try me. Andrew Peterson had a temper, an infamous one. Before I appeared, he got his kicks from tormenting people. He'd shove people into the pool and refuse to let them out until they recited a full list of ancient curses. Those afraid of heights, he'd force them to go bungee jumping from 200 m over and over until they passed out. As for the ones scared of ghosts, he had tricks for that, too. They'd either get assigned to night shifts at the crematorium or be left alone guarding corpses at the funeral home. Even when people fell to their knees, sobbing and begging for forgiveness, Andrew wouldn't budge. Only when they were half-crazed from fear or mental breakdowns would he show mercy and wave them off. That's everything I knew about him before I transmigrated into this novel. And now, standing outside the door, I could clearly hear someone crying inside along with Andrew's familiar, spine-chilling laugh. Sigh. Andrew Peterson was at it again. I didn't bother knocking. I pushed the door open and walked in. The moment the young man inside saw me, he panicked. He tossed the whip aside and stood up straight. I haven't even touched him yet. He started screaming on his own. The man pinned to the floor immediately started begging. "Miss Edwards, please save me. I swear I won't ever do it again. I was wrong. Truly wrong. Please tell young Master Peterson to let me go." I turned to look at Andrew Peterson in silence. He stared back, ignoring me for a full 3 seconds. Then he gave in and let the man go. Scram. Terrified, the guy scrambled out on all fours. We were in a basement. The air was stale, thick with the metallic scent of blood from who knows when. Without another word, Andrew pulled me out of there, frowning. "Your health's not good. Don't come to places like that." I couldn't sleep. I wanted to talk to you. When you weren't in your room, I knew you must have dragged someone down here again. Andrew had long legs and a tall frame. He slowed his pace to walk just half a step behind me. He once said that was the perfect distance so I'd always be in his sight. Nervous about tomorrow's engagement. I let out a soft mem. Soon as we neared the garden, he gently covered my eyes. "I've got a gift for you." With one arm around me, he carefully guided me forward. "Watch your step." Then he whispered, "Okay, you can open them now." He lowered his hand. And the moment I opened my eyes, my vision was flooded with a sea of scarlet, a breathtaking rose garden blooming in full glory. Andrew looked anxious. "I planted all of them myself. Do you like it?" His hands were scratched and bruised. I looked at him and smiled silently. When I was little, I was just one of the many girls who adored Andrew Peterson. He hated me. Every time someone called us childhood sweethearts, he'd shut them up immediately, then turn and glare at me coldly. "Stay away from me. You're seriously annoying. You know that?" Of course, I knew. I knew perfectly well. But it didn't matter. It didn't stop me from running after him, calling out, "Andrew Peterson Gage." I wrote him letters every day. Not love letters, just little things I saw and heard. He'd always shove a pile of them back into my backpack with a scowl. "I'm not interested in your dumb diary." He was the first boy I ever gave flowers to. Unfortunately, he ended up in the hospital. Turns out he was allergic to pollen. I felt horrible and rushed to visit him. He hid under the covers, a drip still hooked to his hand, and shouted, "Get out. Stay away from me." Everyone said, "Colleen Edwards, you should be thankful you two grew up together. If you were anyone else, he would have beat you to a pulp already." I ran out of the hospital crying. But once I got in the car, the tears vanished, and I laughed a little. Yeah, that's exactly how it should be. When he turned 10, he was at his most rebellious. He refused to listen to his family and insisted on spending his birthday away from home. I dressed up that day and waited at the Peterson house, but he never showed up. He was avoiding me again. Didn't even come home. Gifts given after midnight aren't magical anymore. So, I braved the pouring rain, clutching his present as I searched for him. Right in front of everyone, he said he didn't like it. Then tossed it into the trash without a second thought. If I were really just a 6-year-old girl, I probably would have cried, but I didn't because I had transmigrated into this body and I already had Andrew Peterson figured out. Instead of crying, I looked at him pitifully and said, "Andrew Peterson Gage, can you take me home? I'm scared of the dark." Of course, he didn't agree. But what he didn't know was that his stubbornness got me kidnapped for 5 years. By the time they found me, I had developed a chronic illness from the trauma. My skin was ghostly pale, my body so weak, I could barely stand. Just looking at me made people ache with sympathy. When the Edwards family came to pick me up, Andrew Peterson came too. He had changed. The way he looked at me held regret, guilt, and sorrow, not the disgust from before. As he helped me into the car, that boy everyone used to fear leaned close to my ear and said gently, "Colleen Edwards, I'll protect you now. I'll never let you go missing again." I kept my head down, but smiled quietly. And he meant every word. To the outside world, he was still ruthless and cruel. But with me, he was careful, almost tender. Because of my illness, I had to take medicine regularly. But I hated the taste and always looked for chances to secretly pour it out. Once Andrew caught me red-handed during a hospital visit. His face darkened for just a second, but he held it in, then softened his tone and coaxed me gently. "How are you going to get better if you don't take your meds? Be good." I turned my head away without a word. He didn't get mad. Just moved to my other side and kept trying to persuade me. Teenage Andrew Peterson was at the peak of his wildness, unruly and untouchable. But after I came back, everyone noticed. He changed. In the past, he'd either sleep or skip class to play basketball. Now, he'd be video calling me during breaks or scribbling down notes to tutor me later. He used to spend weekends out all day. Now, nope. Going to watch Colleen take her meds. No way. Colleen's afraid of blood. She'll get scared if I come back hurt. Colleen told me not to fight anymore. I'll listen to her. His old gang couldn't take it anymore. "Colleen, Colleen, it's always about your Colleen. You used to avoid girls like the plague. Now you're basically glued to her like a whipped puppy." Disgusting. Ah, how the mighty young Master Peterson has fallen. When I was 18, on the day we took our graduation photo after the college entrance exams, a classmate suddenly confessed to me. Andrew Peterson happened to be the one picking me up that day and witnessed it from a distance. His lazy, dangerous voice rang out, "Nope, she's mine. Back off." The boy ran off, terrified. I tried to escape too, but Andrew cornered me against the wall. The teenage boy in front of me had strikingly handsome features, regal and cold. A kind of beautiful indifference to the world. "Colleen Edwards," he said, "adults now. Can I finally confess to you?" Even something as bold as a confession, he still asked for my permission. But I didn't say yes. I told him, "Sorry. I've only ever seen you as an older brother." The young Master Peterson, who'd received love letters his whole life without ever knowing rejection, gave a cold, mocking laugh at that. But he wasn't discouraged at all. "That's fine. You just turned 18. If we're counting to 100, that means we've still got 82 years. I'll confess once a year. What's 82 times? I've got time." Soon, everyone in North City knew that even the city's young tyrant, Andrew Peterson, had someone he couldn't get. And he refused to give up. Every year, he'd plan a new confession. Even those around us started to get swayed. They'd urged me to accept him already. I just smiled. No rush. The timing wasn't right yet. The day I finally said yes to Andrew Peterson's confession, he looked like the happiest fool on earth. He was trembling so much while holding my hand. It was honestly laughable. Our childhood friends, now all grown up, immediately started teasing him. "Andrew Peterson, seriously, That's your reaction just to her saying yes to being your girlfriend? What are you going to do when she agrees to marry you? Cry. Wow. The same young Master Peterson who feared nothing and no one has finally been humbled. I don't care. When they get married, I swear I'm going to prank the hell out of this guy. He beat me up so many times when we were kids. Andrew ignored them all. His eyes never left mine. I asked him what he was staring at. He gave me the softest smile. Colleen Edwards, now that you've said yes, there's no going back. I won't let you leave me. I joked. What if one day a girl shows up and tells you she's the one you're truly meant to marry? What would you do? I, Andrew Peterson, will only ever marry Colleen Edwards. He took my hand and pointed to the spot over his heart. Remember how I taught you to shoot? If I ever go back on my word, aim here. He was dead serious. And so, naturally, we began planning for marriage. Tomorrow was our engagement party. Compared to Andrew's nervousness, I was calm the entire time. In fact, I kept glancing at the door now and then. Colleen, my father, said, now that you and Andrew Peterson are becoming family, you can't keep acting so spoiled at home anymore. I stared at him, expressionless, unmoved. I even thought it was a bit hypocritical. Truth be told, I was never close to the Edwards family. My mother died giving birth to me. My father remarried soon after. That household never really had room for me. During the 5 years I was missing, the Petersons put in far more effort than the Edwards ever did to find me. Worse, they even had the nerve to advise Andrew. Colleen was just unlucky. We need to move on. Don't dwell on it. After I was found, my position in the Edwards family became even more dispensable. All I had left was the title of Miss Edwards. This arranged marriage with the Petersons left them torn, resentful, but forced to gravel. Humans are such pathetic creatures sometimes. Andrew reached for my hand and shot my father a cold glance. My Colleen has never been spoiled. She doesn't need to change anything. Whatever she wants, she gets, even if it's murder. That last part nearly made my father drop his wine glass. He sat back down awkwardly. Just as the guests started chanting for us to drink from the wedding cups, chaos broke out at the entrance. A panicked woman burst in. Andrew Peterson, you can't marry her. The first person ever bold enough to crash Andrew Peterson's event. Got to say gutsy. I didn't say a word. Just stepped behind Andrew, looking timid and confused. Who is she? That was the question on everyone's mind. The woman ran forward and grabbed Andrew's hand, eyes brimming with affection. Husband. Okay, she's clearly crazy. That was the collective reaction in the room. Andrew looked disgusted. He immediately yanked his hand away and ordered, why hasn't she been thrown out yet? Honestly, he was being polite. The old Andrew would have taken her hand off entirely. The woman struggled against the 2 bodyguards, restraining her, glaring daggers at me. Colleen Edwards, it's you. You stole everything from M. You should be dead right now. My face went pale. Andrew immediately wrapped his arm around me and warned her. Say another word and I'll cut your tongue out. Andrew Peterson. We're soulmates. I'm the female lead. You're the male lead. She's nothing but a plot device. Cannon fodder. She doesn't deserve to marry you. Insane. She was completely insane. The next second, her voice was abruptly cut off. Gasps filled the room. She stood trembling, a gun pressed tightly to her forehead. A sleek black weapon gleaming under the lights. My fiancé smiled coldly. I fought hard to get her. Try interfering again and I'll shoot. Believe me, Andrew Peterson wasn't bluffing. He never did. I gently placed my hand over his and shook my head. Andrew, don't. He said nothing, but he obeyed. From the expressions on the crowd's faces, I could practically read their thoughts, so it's true. Young Master Peterson really is whipped. Finally, someone can keep him in check. I stepped forward and looked the woman over. Miss, I don't know what your reasons are for cursing me and trying so hard to ruin my engagement, but I won't blame you. I pity you, actually. I hope you'll cooperate with your treatment. Her name was Michelle Pullman. Or more precisely, the body she had entered belonged to someone named Michelle Pullman. She wasn't wrong. She really was the heroine of the story. Unfortunately, the moment I arrived, she wasn't anymore. The day I came to this world, a voice told me, seduce Andrew Peterson. Defeat the transmigrated female lead. Earn 100% of Andrew Peterson's affection. Only then can you leave. Fail and you'll be erased. No afterlife. Michelle turned pleading eyes toward Andrew. Andrew Peterson, please believe me. I can tell you everything. Things you know and things you don't. I even know the truth behind your mother's death. Andrew froze for a moment. I slowly lowered my eyes, expression unreadable. Michelle Pullman broke free from the guards and stood before Andrew Peterson, her voice like a siren's whisper. Let me tell you a secret. I'm here to save you. I know all the pain you've been through. Don't be afraid. I'm here now. Andrew's voice was low as he stared her down. What you're saying? Is it true? Of course. Andrew Peterson. I'm your real female lead. As Michelle flashed a victorious smile, I curled my lips ever so slightly. Let's hope you won't regret those words. Andrew's personality had always been shaped by the trauma of his mother's death. And that was something I never mentioned. It was his forbidden wound. As expected, in the very next second, he gave a cold laugh and pressed a gun to her lips. He raised a brow. You know what I hate the most? Michelle trembled, too scared to speak. I hate women with a savior complex. Save me. You think I need saving? Which mental hospital did you escape from? It was only because today was a special day, our engagement, that Andrew didn't want bloodshed. Michelle should count herself lucky. If it were any other day, she would have been carried out horizontal. She was taken to the police station by Andrew's men. Back inside, Andrew stood at the sink, scrubbing his hands over and over again until his fingers turned red. I hadn't even said anything yet. He pursed his lips. She touched me. I didn't expect her to be that bold. I didn't have time to dodge. I swear I had no intention of touching her. He was clearly agitated. I really want to break her damn hands. Just moments ago, he'd been commanding and intimidating, but now he was sulking like a kicked puppy. I almost laughed. Andrew, don't act like a kid. He slammed me into the wall and started whining nonstop, going on and on as if accusing me of being annoyed with him. I sighed. No, you're overthinking it. A loud cough suddenly interrupted us. It was one of his subordinates, head bowed, voice timid. President Peterson, that woman, she's demanding to see you. Andrew snapped back to his usual self in an instant. Yes, blazing with fury. Everyone in North City wants to see me. So what? If she says it, I have to agree. Can't believe you're disturbing me with such nonsense. What are you, useless idiots? He sent the guy flying with a shout, then turned back to me. I softened again. Sorry. This day was supposed to be perfect and that lunatic ruined it. I shouldn't have raised my voice. The poor guy outside. Raise your voice. Bro, you nearly scared the life out of us. Late that night, I heard a buzzing sound in my head. Electric static, followed by the mechanical voice of the system. Apologies. My ability wasn't enough to prevent her from arriving. I opened my eyes and whispered, it's fine. She wasn't going to take Andrew Peterson away from me. Michelle Pullman only stayed in the police station for a few days before getting released. She still hadn't given up, but this time she didn't act recklessly. She came to me in private, straight to the point. Are you reborn or did you transmigrate into the story? I gave her a light smile. Miss Pullman, I have no idea what you're talking about. Miss Edwards, just a word of advice. You and him will never end up together. I smiled politely. We're already engaged. She scoffed. So what if you are? People get divorced after marriage all the time. In this world, you two will never last because I am his final choice. I'm the most devoted he's ever had. At that word simp, I couldn't help but frown. It was hard to associate such a label with Andrew Peterson. AS please. Guard dog. Maybe alpha wolf. More accurate. After all, the marks on my neck, still covered by my high collar, hadn't even faded from last night. She gave me a disdainful glance. As for you, your ending was always supposed to be one of jealousy, abandonment, and death abroad. No one even retrieved your body. I don't know why you're still standing here now, but your ending won't change. You'd better start cherishing your final days. I tilted my head, resting my chin on my hand. Oh no, I'm so scared. I'll be sure to cherish them. Michelle Pullman looked so confident, it almost made me laugh, but I held it in. Miss Pullman, I understand your obsession with my fiancé. Unrequited love hurts both ways. Maybe your destined match is someone else. Her eyes flickered. She looked away. Guilty. I've said what I came to say. Believe it or not, up to you. I watched her storm off, her heels clicking hastily against the ground, and let out a small laugh. In the backseat of my car, I gave the order. Follow her. Michelle's family wasn't poor, but in a city like North City, they were nothing. She was decked out in luxury brands, yet stood awkwardly in front of a shabby auto repair shop. Timidly, she called out. A man stepped out from inside. Tall and lean, dressed in dark coveralls, oil smudges still on his face, eyes cool and detached. Then I heard it again, the mechanical voice of the system. He is the true male lead, Lucas Wood. I said, I know. Of course I knew. That's why I came here. Michelle Pullman had only been half right. She was indeed the female lead. But Andrew Peterson, he wasn't the male lead, just a supporting character. The true male lead was the man standing before me. The one who looked so ordinary yet wasn't. You're probably wondering, why did Michelle weave such a lie? Honestly, I don't know. The system never told me about her or him. It only warned me. If I failed to gain Andrew Peterson's trust before the transmigrated female lead arrived, my mission would fall further and further behind. So, for the past 20 years, I didn't keep the system by my side. I let it intercept her instead. And I all alone navigated this unfamiliar world, slowly pushing my mission forward. It took me 20 years to make Andrew Peterson unable to live without me. Miss Pullman, you really don't need to sprain your ankle every time just to see me. I'm busy. Lucas Wood's tone was restrained, but the impatience between his brows was clear. Michelle Pullman froze, her smile stiffening. The line she prepared stuck awkwardly in her throat. Lucas didn't have time for small talk. He turned to leave. I told you I like you. If you'll be with me, I'll make sure you rule North City one day. Andrew Peterson, I'll have him crushed under your feet. She burst out, panicked. I lowered the window, squinting my eyes at the scene. Michelle Pullman, you really don't lack ambition. Lucas looked at her like she was nuts. I don't even know who Andrew Peterson is. You came to me out of nowhere yesterday and started rambling about a bunch of nonsense. The only reason I didn't call a psych ward was out of courtesy. Now, please leave. Michelle lunged forward to grab him. Lucas Wood, I'm telling the truth. You're destined to be the most powerful man in North City. I know everything. I can help you take a shortcut. You won't have to struggle anymore. And I'm your future wife. You have to believe me. She was thrown to the ground. Lucas's expression remained perfectly neutral. If you're going to lie, at least make it sound believable. What do you take me for, a toddler? I don't want to insult a woman, so please have some self-respect. Once Lucas disappeared, Michelle's mask dropped. She looked down in disgust and frantically wiped the oil from her hands. Disgusting. If you weren't the male lead, do you think I'd waste time on a greasy mechanic? Keep dreaming. Lucas would let me think. In the original story, he was the true male protagonist. The lost young master of one of North City's most powerful families, rediscovered at the age of 20. Just in time for his family's internal collapse, he was the one who stepped up, holding it all together in a storm of blood and betrayal. The novel mentioned that later on, because of the heroine Michelle Pullman, Lucas ended up in a rivalry with Andrew Peterson. And of course, with the heroine's halo shining bright, Andrew naturally lost. The ending didn't even bother to mention him. As for Michelle Pullman, I smiled to myself. Ah, so this is her plan, trying to be a siren queen, casting her net everywhere. As I quietly analyzed the mission, someone hugged me from behind. Andrew rubbed his cheek against my hair. Baby, you've been dazing off since we got back. What's on your mind? I remembered something. There's been a lot of scandals about Wilson Group lately. Heard their executives are getting ready to bail. Was that your doing? His attention clearly wasn't on that topic, but he still answered earnestly. Wilson Group's been barely surviving for years. Collapse was only a matter of time. No need for me to get involved. Ever since you told me to stop doing risky things, I've kept my hands clean. I fell into thought. Andrew turned my body to face him. Did someone upset you? I smiled. No, don't overthink it. That's not good enough. I will overthink. But if you want to cure this problem of mine, there's a way. What? He lowered his eyes, then gave a wicked grin. A kiss. And just like that, his office desk became our battlefield. This was after all a workplace with people still walking around outside. I bit my lip to keep quiet. Then suddenly the door burst open. President Peterson. Andrew, breathless, lifted his head. Get out. The assistant stumbled back in terror and quickly slammed the door shut behind him. Andrew's kissing skills were far too practiced. I could no longer tease him like I used to. I tried to remember when was our first kiss. It was the time he made me furious. He'd taken part in an illegal street race on a dare. Nearly lost his life. He made everyone keep it from me, but I still found out. I didn't go to the hospital. No one dared call me heartless, though. Only the Edwards family nagged me not to overreact. I locked myself in my private villa, refusing to go out. Spent the days either practicing piano or dancing. 2 days later, I left the house for an auction. Right before the event started, Andrew called. I pick. Get up, held the phone to my ear. Andrew, Colleen, you're not home. He must have been standing in front of the villa. I gave a quiet where are you out? Getting some fresh air. He clearly had a lot to say, a million things to explain. But once he said I'm sorry, I glanced at the time and hung up first. That night, I got home very late. Andrew had been waiting outside like he'd gone mad. It wasn't that he couldn't find me. It was that he was terrified of making me angry again. But he didn't dare smash anything. I didn't like noise. He didn't even smoke around me. Even with the freezing temperatures outside, he wore nothing but a thin shirt, squatting at the door, waiting. The moment he saw me, he mumbled, "Why didn't you wear more? Your health's terrible." He must have rushed over. There were still traces of blood on the back of his hand. When he noticed, he quickly hid his hand behind him. I didn't do anything bad to him. I stood on tiptoe, the coat on my shoulder slipping down. 2 shadows on the ground merged into one. I kissed Andrew Peterson. It was my first kiss and his too, which made him even more nervous than I was. Andrew, I just worry about you. Please stop doing such dangerous things, okay? His face turned bright red. Okay. He always looked hard to approach, his gaze fierce and dangerous. Everyone feared him, but I'd seen more than once as a child him squatting in the corner like a sad little dumpling, digging at a rat hole with one hand and sobbing softly to himself. I'm not a monster. Is it my fault I look scary? Why does everyone hate me? Why does everyone avoid me? That was the first time I visited the Peterson house. I stumbled upon him by accident. And right then and there, I began forming a plan to win him over. Andrew, utterly embarrassed, rushed into the bathroom with both hands covering his face. From inside, I could hear him bragging to his childhood buddies on the phone. Yep. Colleen just kissed me. She kissed me first. My girl is the best. You losers wouldn't understand. Do you even have girlfriends? Oi, Andrew Peterson, so childish. At night, he prepared warm water for me to soak my feet before bed. The infamous young master of the business world, kneeling on one knee, washing my feet with total devotion. I teased him. What would people say if they found out? Where's your pride? He hummed contentedly, scrubbing gently. Isn't pampering my wife the most natural thing in the world? So, what if I wash your feet? If you'd let me, I'd bathe you, too. My face flushed red. I couldn't even look at him. The next day, I went to the auto repair shop. I walked up to the tall, lean young man. Car wash or repair? The man didn't even look up, typing away at his computer. I handed him a business card. I'm here to see someone. Who? Lucas Wood. He finally lifted his eyes slowly and gave me a once-over that wasn't impolite, but definitely curious. It's you. I blinked. You know me? He shook his head. Not personally, but I've seen you before. Andrew Peterson's fiancée, Colleen Edwards, right? I nodded. Lucas had that kind of worn, cold detachment in his face. He let out a low laugh. Thanks to that lunatic, she kept name-dropping Andrew Peterson like he was a god. I got curious and looked him up online. Big shot, huh? So, are you here about your fiancé? I tugged at the corner of my lips. No, I'm here about you. I only told him about his true identity. Nothing more. Even if I said more, he wouldn't believe me. Michelle Pullman had always been too eager, too hasty. Your grandfather's still in the hospital. He refuses to close his eyes unless he sees you again. I pushed the business card over to him. This belongs to someone close to the Wilson family. Contact him if you change your mind. If not, that's fine, too. It just means the only person who cared about you is gone. Lucas didn't speak. His emotions were buried deep in his pitch-black eyes. A few days later, the news of Mr. Wilson's death spread. No mention was made of Lucas Wood. The system asked me, you didn't have to get involved, you know. I replied, there are many reasons. That week, I kept replaying certain plot details from the book. The reason Andrew Peterson and Lucas Wood eventually became sworn enemies was rooted in the downfall of the Wilson family. Andrew had gotten involved in the chaos, trying to acquire the whole Wilson group, and Lucas had shown up at the worst moment. He blamed Andrew for interfering and held him responsible for his grandfather's death. The two of them fought openly and in the shadows, battling for dominance everywhere they went. I had been doing everything I could to steer Andrew toward the right path to make sure he stayed out of it. Even if Lucas rose to power later, the two of them wouldn't need to tear each other apart. I ran into a drunk Lucas Wood at a bar. He sat alone at the counter, swaying slightly, one hand pressed to his forehead, eyes downcast. Andrew had one arm around my waist. He leaned in and asked, "What are you looking at?" I turned back. Nothing. The music was deafening. We were trailing behind the group. Andrew pulled me closer, his tone sour as he gritted through his teeth. "Colleen, you've been acting up lately. Watching other men in front of me now." Our friends up ahead turned around to see why we'd stopped. I smirked, leaned toward Andrew's ear, and whispered 2 words. His ears turned red. He gave my waist a playful squeeze. "We'll settle this when we get home." Tonight's party had been arranged by our mutual friends. I never restricted Andrew's drinking, but I used the excuse of finding him some hangover soup to slip away. By the time I came back, Lucas wasn't alone anymore. Michelle Pullman was leaning close, one hand on her chest, whispering sweetly. Just as she was about to kiss him, Lucas threw up all over her. The smile on her face cracked into horror. She shoved him away in disgust and ran to the restroom in tears. As for the now unconscious Lucas, she didn't spare him a second glance. I followed her just in time to hear her making a phone call. "I'm coming. I'm coming." So annoying. No, I don't even like him. He's got no money, no power. If it weren't for, well, whatever. I just felt bad for him. Okay. Oh, and don't forget to call a car to take him to the hotel. Make sure they say it was my arrangement. That's important. I've helped him so many times. He'll definitely remember me one day. You'll see. I'll be the girl every woman envies. And don't forget to introduce me to President Stewart. I promise you'll get your reward. He'll fall in love with me so deep he won't even be able to climb out." I leaned against the door, laughing. President Stewart, huh? If I remembered right, he was one of the male second leads in the original story, devoted and heartbroken. Even after Michelle married someone else, he still waited for her. Lucas woke up and found himself lying on the side of the road. He didn't look surprised. He just asked, "Why are you here passing by? Saw you drunk out of your mind, so I had someone pull you out for some fresh air." His voice was flat. I thought it was Michelle Pullman. Ah, so he was faking drunk. I stood silently, expressionless. He didn't press the issue. Instead, his brow furrowed and he looked genuinely upset. "My grandfather passed. He told me to go back and take care of the company." There wasn't much I could say to comfort him, so I just stayed quiet and listened. I think I know what Michelle wanted from me now. "But you, why did you approach me?" At this point, there was no need to hide it anymore. My fiancé can be impulsive, but he's not a bad person. "Mr. Wood, you're calm and steady. If there's a chance in the future, I think the two of you should consider working together." Lucas stared at me for a while, then gave a wry smile. "If he knew you came to me behind his back to say this, wouldn't he feel humiliated?" I shook my head. "K.W. Aunt. He loves that I think ahead for him." Andrew Peterson is someone who's never known real love. The Peterson family story is complicated. Mr. Peterson Sr. had married into the family. 5 years after the wedding, it came out that he already had a secret marriage elsewhere. Those years were turbulent for the Peterson family. The old patriarch died from the stress. Not long after leaving behind 8-year-old Andrew Peterson. Less than a year later, for political reasons, Mr. Peterson Sr. decided to remarry. The Petersons were climbing in power and political marriages were expected. The new family agreed, except for one thing. They didn't want Andrew. But Andrew had always been a rebel. He never listened to his father. The day Mr. Peterson tried to send him away, Andrew set fire to the car. He crawled out covered in soot and showed up in the middle of the night, knife in hand, smiling coldly at his father's bedside. At the grand wedding, he released a video of the bride cheating with someone else. Then raised a glass in front of all the guests and said with a smirk, "Happy wedding. This is my gift like it." With a son like that, who would dare marry into the Peterson family? Turned out the bride's family had tampered with the car. If it had left North City, everyone inside would have been killed. Andrew had intended to sit back and enjoy the chaos of his father's failed wedding. But when he heard they were planning to bring in some illegitimate child to fight for the Peterson inheritance, he lost it. Went all in. And oddly enough, the more ruthless Andrew became, the more his father seemed satisfied. In the end, he gave up on remarrying and focused on grooming Andrew as the sole heir. But their relationship never improved. Neither one would back down. People used to say, it takes a demon king to raise a demon prince. And these two, each one was more stubborn than the last. In order to discipline his son, Mr. Peterson had used some brutal methods. Once he abandoned Andrew on an uninhabited island, completely empty-handed for an entire month. By the time they retrieved him, Andrew's body was covered in wounds from wild animal attacks. He was burning with fever, almost brain damaged from the heat. He had also been sent to the Golden Triangle, a lawless place where murder meant nothing. And yet, Andrew had survived. When he was brought back, he was in critical condition and needed 3 days and 3 nights of emergency care. From then on, the father-son relationship hit absolute rock bottom. Every conversation turned into a battlefield. I had always thought that after everything Andrew Peterson had endured, he'd long given up on family and love. But on the day he proposed, he looked at me so gently and said, "I just want a home. Colleen, will you give me one? If we have a child, I'll teach them that happiness matters most. That if the sky ever falls, their father will hold it up. All they have to do is love their mom. If we don't have kids, we'll adopt cats or dogs just to give them a home." So Andrew Peterson, he longed to be loved. When I returned to the private room, the party was already halfway through. Andrew had had too much to drink and was curled up on the couch in the corner, fast asleep, quiet, peaceful. I called out softly, "Andrew Peterson." He didn't open his eyes. Just leaned toward me, rubbing his face into my arms. "Wife, where did you go?" "Be good." "I went to buy you hangover medicine." He mumbled, clearly wronged. "I thought you left. Thought you didn't want me anymore. You didn't even reply to my messages." I checked my phone. It was on Do Not Disturb mode. He had sent me dozens of texts. "They're bullying me. Come back and back me up. I feel awful. When are you coming back? Colleen Edwards, do you not love me anymore? Wife." Everyone said Andrew Peterson was a ruthless, cold-hearted man, but I couldn't see that. All I saw was someone desperate to be loved. The system whispered, "Getting attached. Aren't you?" "What? Why?" "LL you do when it's time to leave?" I didn't know how to answer, so I said nothing. The Wilson group changed hands. Lucas Wood had returned and moved far faster than the plot in the book ever described. I asked Andrew what he thought about it. Still hung over, his head hurt. When a person is physically vulnerable, they tend to get clingy, and so he curled up in my arms and refused to move. His voice was still stuffy. "What's there to think? So, what if he's successful? He doesn't even have a wife." I was honestly speechless. Meanwhile, Michelle Pullman had been showing up around Lucas more and more, constantly looking for ways to get close. Once, while Andrew and I were at a business meeting, we saw her getting thrown out of a private room. "Lucas, after everything I've done for you, you're not even going to thank me. I am your future wife. You'll regret pushing me away," she shouted in the hallway. Inside, Lucas would remain seated, cold and unmoved. Then Michelle saw me and then saw Andrew beside me, her eyes filled with jealousy. She was unwilling to accept it. I asked the system, does she even know her purpose in this story, or does she not have a system? If she were truly on a mission, the system would have warned her by now. Wouldn't let her mess around like this. The system replied, "There's no sign of a system. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to delay her arrival by so many years. There's only one explanation. Michelle Pullman has transmigrated a second time." She thought the story would follow the same pattern as her first life. She hadn't expected my appearance to change everything. As Andrew led me into the room, Michelle blocked our path. "Andrew Peterson, you think I'm patient just because I didn't shoot you last time?" He cut her off coldly. He didn't let her get a single step closer. He gave the order to drag her away. As she was being pulled outside, Michelle turned on me. "It's all your fault, Colleen Edwards. Everything changed because of you. Why won't you just die? You should have been dead." Andrew quickly covered my ears, frowning. "Don't listen to her. She's out of her mind." Okay. Our partnership with Lucas went well. He never brought up that night's conversation. But before we left, he turned to Andrew and said, "Miss Edwards isn't an ordinary woman. She's your greatest blessing." Andrew gripped my hand tighter, slightly annoyed. "For that sentence alone, we're inviting you to the wedding." I got flustered and quickly dragged him away. Back in the car, Andrew's jealousy flared. He licked his lips, that familiar dangerous gleam in his eyes. "Colleen, do you know him?" I figured I couldn't hide it, so I nodded. He looked like he was about to explode, but held it in. After a long pause, he mumbled, just don't talk to him too much." Okay. I hugged Andrew with a secret smile. Okay. Michelle Pullman threatened suicide to force a meeting with Andrew. The first time, he didn't give in. He barked at his men. If she wants to die, no one's stopping her. But he never expected her to actually do it. Late that night, she was rushed into the ER. I nudged Andrew. "Go see her. Hear what she wants to say." He scratched his head in frustration, but still reassured me. "Go to sleep first. I'll be back soon." Just before dawn, I felt movement beside me. I turned over and slid into his arms without opening my eyes. "What is it?" He lay down gently. "Nothing. It's all handled. Sleep." I could feel that something was off with him tonight. He was unusually quiet, just holding on to me like I was his last bit of peace. His phone lit up on the nightstand. A number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was. Andrew answered the call right in front of me. On the end, a woman's voice sobbed. "Andrew Peterson, it's so dark here. I'm scared. Will you come find me?" His eyes turned murderous. "If you ever say something like that again, I will cut out your tongue. I don't make empty threats." Michelle had been committed to a psychiatric facility. His men had quietly told me, but not long after, Lucas would came to see me. His eyes carried a deep sadness. "Can I take her?" I asked curiously. "What are you planning to do?" He laughed at himself. "I just want the old Michelle Pullman back." Lucas was the main character in the book. He was written to fall for Michelle completely and unconditionally. I took on a negotiator's stance. "What are you offering in return?" He exhaled in relief. "In every future partnership, you two get the bigger share. Deal, and I won't let her appear in front of you ever again." Then Andrew Peterson fell ill. No warning. The doctor said it was psychological. I stayed by his side for 3 days at the hospital. When he finally woke up, his gaze was complicated, filled with longing, pain, and emotion. "Andrew Peterson." I gently touched his warm cheek. His voice steadied. "Will you come with me to see her?" The cemetery was cold and empty. Hardly anyone was there. Andrew Peterson was dressed in black, walking ahead of me. His back was slightly hunched, like he was carrying a weight too heavy to breathe under. The person he spoke of was the late Madame Peterson, who had passed away many years ago. Her photo from her younger days hung on the gravestone. Andrew had inherited some of her features. He brought me here every year, but never once mentioned her. It was a tragic story. "I'm here to see you again. Don't find me annoying. I won't stay long." His eyes were half lowered as he gently wiped the dust off the headstone. "That year, you swallowed pills right in front of me, calling out his name over and over, swearing you'd haunt him even after death. But sometimes, I wonder, maybe I'm the one you never let go of." I looked away. My eyes were damp. "Mom," Andrew whispered softly. "I miss you. But you've never once come to see me, not even in a dream." Back at home, Andrew locked himself in his room. He hadn't come out since. It was Madame Peterson's death anniversary. Every year on this day, he became someone else. Quiet, withdrawn. That night, I tiptoed into his room. The lights were off except for a faint ember glowing on the balcony. Andrew was smoking. He recognized my footsteps. His voice was Colleen. I didn't say anything. I just wrapped my arms around him. He was silent for a long time, too quiet for someone like him. His hands tightened around my waist as if afraid I'd vanish. "Colleen, let's get married soon, okay?" I didn't understand why he was in such a rush. "I want to bring you home as soon as I can. The wedding house is ready. A seaside villa in Alaska. Your favorite view. Your dresses are being custom made. Mermaid cut ball gown. We'll change 4 or 5 a day if we want. The ring will arrive tonight from overseas. It's the diamond you stared at for so long during that auction." I bought it. I was stunned. That auction had been during a cold spell between us. I never knew he'd been there, too, let alone noticed what I liked. "Andrew Peterson, what's going on with you?" His voice trembled. He was scared. "I feel like everything right now is just a dream. Like I'll wake up and you'll be gone. Colleen Edwards, I need you to say it out loud. Tell me this is real. That you'll always be here." It was on this night that the system notified me. "Mission complete. You may now leave this world." I stared at this man so carefully planning our wedding. Somehow the words goodbye just wouldn't leave my lips. "Not yet," I whispered. And the system didn't push. The wedding date was set tightly. People around us asked, "What's the rush? It's not like the bride's going to run off." Andrew just looked at me serious for a moment before joking. "Well, what if I can't marry her today? I'd worry she might disappear tomorrow." A strange feeling welled up inside me, like Andrew already knew I was going to leave. I asked the system why. It was silent for a long time before replying, maybe this world was yours all along. The wedding between the Peterson and Edwards families was grand, almost too grand. The kind people would call a 10 miles procession of red. The system told me, now's the best time. Be ready to leave. I sat alone in the hotel's dressing room. It felt like the whole floor had been cleared out just for me. The hallway was empty. I stood at a fork in the corridor. To the left, an exit that would take me away. To the right, the path to the wedding. My first step was toward the exit. The system began the transfer process. But then memories surged in my mind. Ones that didn't belong to me alone. They belonged to Colleen Edwards. My vision filled with Andrew Peterson. Smiling, angry, crying, and finally holding Colleen's portrait, kneeling in front of her grave, sobbing uncontrollably. Do you remember now? The system asked. You are Colleen Edwards. In your previous life, due to Michelle Pullman's jealousy, you never returned from studying abroad. Andrew Peterson discovered she was behind your death. He used the same tactics to get revenge for you and then committed suicide at your grave. Clutching your photo, the gods took pity. They gave you a second chance. A chance to meet again. A mission to win his heart. This world was always yours. Andrew Peterson. Epilogue. I had a childhood friend. Her name was Colleen Edwards. She was quiet, soft-spoken, but stubborn as hell. I told her over and over that I'd never fall for her. But the next day, there she was, still following me like a little tail, too clingy, and yet we ended up knowing each other for over a decade. I always thought I'd never like a girl like that. But whenever I went on a date with someone else, I'd get irritable. Couldn't stand them. When I saw her joking with other guys, all I wanted to do was throw a punch. Colleen Edwards had stolen my heart without even trying. Somehow, we'd switched roles. As adults, she barely gave me any attention, but I secretly watched her every move. And of course, she noticed. She was never the clueless type. That summer, when we were both 18 and taking our college entrance exams, we stood side by side during the graduation photo. She quietly reached out and grabbed my hand. Andrew Peterson. After we graduate, let's be together, okay? But you have to confess to me first. Only then I'll say yes. My heart was practically bursting. But to play it cool, I fought the urge to smile and just said, all right. That was the first time I'd smiled in a photo. But we both broke our promise. We never made it. She went abroad on an exchange program and never came back. The day I heard the news, I destroyed everything in my house, dragged old Jang out of his mistress's bed and beat him to hell and back. When I came to, I was lying in a hospital bed. A stranger stood beside me. She smiled sweetly. I'm Michelle Pullman. Do you remember me, Andrew Peterson? No. Her face faltered, but I wasn't lying. I really didn't remember her. She started telling me stories of our past that day. After my race at the school sports meet, you handed me a water bottle. I slowly remembered. Colleen Edwards was on the student council. She was assigned to distribute water to athletes. I didn't want her in the sun, so I had her stay in the shade and send a few others to deliver it. There were hundreds of athletes that day. This girl never even registered in my mind. Michelle Pullman kept talking. One time during my period, I went to the school store and everyone gave me weird looks. Only you picked up the things I dropped and handed them back to me. She looked touched as if reliving something precious. But all I remembered was that day it was Colleen Edwards who was on her period, hiding in the restroom, too embarrassed to come out. I'd snuck out of class, ran to the store, and bought everything she needed. Whether I'd done something nice for someone else on the way, I didn't even remember. I looked up coldly, annoyed. What exactly are you trying to say? Her face flushed, eyes lowered, and she stammered. I have someone I like now. It's Lucas Wood. Thank you for your feelings, but let's just stay friends. I was speechless. Michelle Pullman. Lucas Wood. What did any of that have to do with me? My whole body hurt. Probably because old man Peterson had ordered the doctors not to give me any anesthesia. I told her to leave. She looked hurt, but still said something ridiculous. Don't be mad. I know rejecting you must feel awful, but don't worry. I'll come visit you more often. She's a lunatic. The next day, I checked out of the hospital and flew to the country where Colleen Edwards had died. Among the charred ruins of the explosion, police had found one phone that still worked. Inside was Colleen's last call record. That led me to Michelle Pullman. To avoid alerting her, I stayed close, played dumb, let people gossip. I didn't care. All I cared about was how my Colleen Edwards had died. Michelle's mouth was tight. It took me a long time to get her to lower her guard long enough for her to spill the truth. Colleen Edwards. To make sure she was living alone, I called her pretending to be an old classmate, asking about school. Then I hired some bold guys to sneak in. One gas tank, one lighter. Boom. The house went up. Hatred flared in my chest like never before. I had never wanted to kill someone so badly. She was drunk when she said it, still smiling proudly. If I didn't get rid of her, she'd come back to China and attract Lucas Wood, Andrew Peterson, Raymond Stewart, all of them. Then everything I worked for would have been wasted. She was just a disposable side character anyway. Dead or not, who cares? Better to let her die beautifully, like some tragic first love. I forced myself to stick to the plan. No rash moves. So, I waited until the day Michelle Pullman married Lucas Wood. Everyone thought I was leaving the country out of heartbreak, that I'd never return. Right before the ceremony, I went to Michelle playing the role of a man deeply in love. Let me ask you one last time. Will you come with me? I filled the house you liked with roses. Just come see. One look and I'll bring you back. You can still marry him. She agreed so easily. So greedy. Nothing like Colleen. I edited every word she'd said. Then during the wedding, I played the video in front of all the guests on the giant screen. Lucas Wood became a joke. Michelle screamed for mercy. I locked the door tight. The fire burned all day. Afterward, exhausted and covered in ash, I carried Colleen Edwards' photo to her grave. I said a lot, but all it meant was, I miss you. Then I had a dream. In it, Colleen had grown up. She looked at me, eyes full of warmth, and called my name. I held my breath, terrified to wake up. The dream was perfect, but I wanted more. I wanted to marry her. Now, immediately, I knew she'd leave. I could see it in her eyes, the way she looked at me, holding back tears. But I pretended not to know because I was too scared that if I opened my eyes, she'd be gone. I found Andrew Peterson sitting alone on the stairs, chain smoking. He looked nothing like his usual arrogant self. I sighed inwardly. Andrew Peterson. He looked up, stunned, so stunned that he didn't react until the cigarette burned his fingers. He stood up in a panic. You didn't leave. I smiled. Smiled until my eyes filled with tears. The wedding's about to start, I said softly. Shall we go? His eyes turned red in an instant. In the sea of time, she chose to stay. He held her hand like a vow, never letting go. No more missions, no more dreams, just the warmth of a real home. At last, they were truly each other's forever.